Sarah Petrescu, Katie DeRosa, and Louise Dixon of the Victoria Times Colonist decided to offer an in-depth, compelling look at how the opioid crisis unfolded from the perspective of those affected. The 5-day series, Fentanyl on the Front Lines, was timed to coincide with the October release of overdose death statistics in order to have the greatest impact. The stories were the first in the province to detail the trauma of emergency and social service workers who suddenly found they were reviving clients from overdoses every day. It showed local doctors' frustration with a lack of resources to treat addicts. The team also looked at how the crisis affected local law enforcement and sentencing. Most striking, it presented drug users themselves, explaining what it feels like to overdose on the dangerous opioid fentanyl and why they seek it out. At least 70 soldiers and veterans died by suicide after serving on the Afghanistan mission, a growing cohort excluded from official tallies. The Globe and Mail produced 31 accounts, many from loved ones who shared their stories for the first time, in which were revealed patterns of PTSD, broken relationships, alcohol abuse, inadequate treatment, and a system that totally failed them. They were sons of bankers and miners. They were strongmen and endurance runners. They were husbands and fathers who took their children camping and taught them how to play shinny on backyard rinks. All 31 were dedicated Canadian soldiers and airmen who served on the perilous Afghanistan mission. They all came home, and they all ended their lives. In Indigenous communities across Canada, rampant sexual abuse and incest involving children has long been an open secret and an open wound, a scourge that victims and community leaders alike are reluctant to confront directly. In 2016, a year marked by headlines of Indigenous suicide and an inquiry into murdered and missing Indigenous women, the Canadian Press's Christy Kirkup and Cheryl Ubelacher set out to document the untold stories of Native Canadians terrorized by the emotional and physical impact of sexual abuse, and to motivate community leaders to do something about it. They spent months building trust and creating a safe space for victims to describe the most personal, horrifying details of their lives, all the while striving to minimize the risk of re-victimization. The journalism was groundbreaking. The response was overwhelming.
And the award for Project of the Year goes to the Globe and Mail. I drew the short straw here. I want to really congratulate the other nominees in the category. Their work was so important and so inspiring, and really it's an honor to be nominated alongside you. Too often in journalism, we move on from important stories. We report on the problems and the promises, and then we go away. We go away before there's any real change, which is what governments are counting on us to do. I really want to thank our editors, Denis, Sinclair, and David, and our publisher, Philip Crawley, for encouraging us to move forward and supporting our ongoing reporting of suicides of soldiers who've served in Afghanistan. It took an incredible team to pull this project together. I want to thank Les and Al for jumping on board with the reporting. I don't think any of us really realized how difficult and emotional journey it was going to be to reach out to so many families who lost loved ones to suicide. Jeremy and Laura were the brains behind the multimedia presentation, which we really hope will serve as an enduring remembrance to the lives lost and a call to action for those who still need healing. Catherine was our editor on the project, our patient editor, and our safety net. And Deborah brought viewers to the lives of 2 veterans who are coping with PTSD. Above all, we want to thank the families and the veterans who shared their stories with us. It wasn't easy. There were a lot of tears, but they let us into their homes and their private pain so that their loved ones would be remembered and so that we could all better understand how to help those who are still suffering in the aftermath of war. Thank you.